Hello everyone, it's Eridact
and 065
from Pulse Jungle.
Today we are going to discuss mechanism of labor.
Mechanism of labor, otherwise known as cardinal movements of labor. These are a series of adaptational changes in attitude and position the fetus undergoes as it passes through the birth canal during labor. This is due to the obstetrics dilemma created during the evolution of humans. Hence, the fetus head must navigate through differently shaped birth canal. Pelvic inlet is widest transversely, while the outlet is widest anteroposteriorly. These mechanisms include engagement, descent, flexion, internal rotation, extension, restitution, external rotation, and expulsion.
The first step is engagement. The engagement is said to occur when the widest diameter of the fetal presenting part overlies the pelvic inlet, also known as the pelvic brim. The fetal head or the fetal presenting part normally enter the pelvic inlet in the transverse position. This is because the pelvic inlet is widest in the transverse diameter. Descent. This is descent of the fetal presenting part through the mid-cavity to the pelvic outlet. This is aided by the involuntary contractions of the abdominal muscles. Braxton Hicks contraction that occurs in the late stage of pregnancy also helps in this descent. Fundus of uterine contractions during labor, which makes sure that the contraction starts in the fundus and passes downwards, hence effective in pushing the fetus downwards. Increase in frequency and strength of contractions that occurs during true labor. Also, the pressure of the amniotic fluid also pushes the baby downwards. This descent can be measured effectively by the relative position of the fetal presenting part to the maternal ischial spine, and this is known as stations, which is graded from +5 to -5. Any point above the maternal ischial spine takes the negative value, while the one below it takes the positive value. So if the fetal presenting part is 1 centimeter above the maternal ischial spine, it is -1, while 2 centimeters is -2. The next step is flexion. This occurs relatively due to the pressure that is exerted on the fetal head by the pelvic floor. Hence, the circumference of the fetal head that enters into the pelvic outlet is the lowest possible circumference, which is the suboccipitobregmatic diameter, instead of the occipitofrontal diameter. In this position, the fetal skull has a small diameter which enables it to pass easily through the pelvic outlet. The next step is internal rotation. This occurs as a result of rotation of the fetal head from the left or right occipitotransverse position to the occipito-anterior direction, in which the occiput lies in front of the pubic symphysis. This is because the pelvic outlet is widest in the anteroposterior diameter. Hence, the widest part of the fetal head, which is the anteroposterior diameter, must also lie in line with this anteroposterior part of the pelvic outlet. Crowning is said to occur when the fetal head has passed through the narrowest part of the maternal bony pelvis. Hence, in between contraction, the fetal head is not going to retract, and the fetal head is visible in the vulva at this point. This is effectively known as crowning. Extension. When the occiput of the fetus slips beneath the suprapubic arc, the head is allowed to extend in such a way that the total head of the fetus is brought outside. Restitution and external rotation occurs immediately after the head of the fetus is delivered outward. As the fetal shoulder enters into the mid-pelvic cavity, the head of the fetus must rotate through 1/8 of a cycle in order to align itself with the shoulder. After aligning itself with the shoulder and the head must rotate through another 1/8 of a cycle in such a way that the shoulder must be in line with the anteroposterior diameter of the pelvic outlet. This is to aid in easy delivery of the fetal shoulder. Expulsion. After the fetal shoulders line in the anteroposterior diameter of the pelvic outlet, the anterior shoulder is delivered first by the downward traction that is exerted by the healthcare provider. Then the upward traction provided will also aid in the delivery of the posterior shoulder. This delivery of the shoulder is then followed by the expulsion of the body. The rest of the body comes out easily after the shoulder and head has been delivered.
For more interesting videos, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel Pulse Jungle. Thank you.
And we push it.